Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's Jira training session. Today, I'm going to be walking you through the process of how you get a release, or some other people refer to it as a fixed version created for your project. Before we start, please remember to like, subscribe, and share these videos with the rest of your friends and colleagues if you haven't already. Okay, so for today's session, I'll need you to go into your project section, right? If you navigate to the top of your screen and click on the project, and then you can go into your project. Once you have your project opened, you would see at the left side of the screen where you would have your backlog, your active spray reports, issues, components, and then you can see at the bottom you have got something called releases. Releases, in a nutshell, can be items. I'm just trying to look for an easier way to explain what releases can be used for. Releases can be used to schedule how features are rolled out to customers, or how deliverables are rolled out to customers. Some at times it also helps in a way to organize your work that has been completed for your project as well. So it's just like a way of putting things in buckets or organizing stuff. So you know, okay, this piece of work has been completed, or this are our Q1 deliverables. You know that this is what is going to be released for Q1, for Q2, for Q3, depending on how your organization is set up. Okay. So by default, as I said as well in my previous videos, by default, once you click on your project, it automatically takes you to the board section of your project, which is why where you would find all your navigations in terms of, do you need to go into the project setting, do you need to go into your components, do you need to go into issues and stuff. So for the purpose of this training, I'm going to be going into releases. So once you click on release, I would click on create version. So releases is what we refer to as fixed versions as well, in Jira. Once the release is created, I'm going to show you how you then assign it to, you assign the individual ticket to the release that you've created. Okay, so I would call this release. Releases can be numbers, can be a way of identifying what's been delivered for that particular session, because you would need to make sure you have a date. Say, for example, you're trying to do Q1 deliverables. I can call this Q1 deliverables. Okay. And then the next important thing is, you can put a start date if you want to, but the very important one you must, make sure you have information in is the release date, because that's how you then track to see if things has been delayed, or has any release gone been delayed or not. So in this instance, I'm going to do for Q1, end of Q1 will be end of March. And then you can put a description if you want. So it's not a required field. You can leave it blank if you want to as well. So I'm just going to click on create. So you can see that once I've clicked on create, the status of this release is telling me that this release is not yet released. So it's still an unreleased version. And I can see my date in there as well. At the minute, it's telling me that I've got no issues for this release. Okay. So once you've done this, you would now need to navigate back to the issues for that project. Once you go into the issue section, this section brings you back to all the issues in your project. As stated previously, when you're working with components or releases in that project, you can assign to any issue type you have in that project. Is not specific to issue types, is for everything within that project. So I will be clicking on this bug, for example, which is the training bug. And at the side of my screen, in here, where I have all my screens, all the fields that I have in the project, I will scroll down to where it says fixed version. So mine is at the right hand side of my screen. For some Jira versions, you would see them at the top here. So where you can see attach, create subtasks, you would see something that like edit, more, workflow, admin, and then you would see issue type. You will see all your fields at the top of your screen here. You see your components, your labels, and then you will see fixed version somewhere around here. But for my version, I can see this at the bottom of my right screen. So in here, I would then click on the fixed version section where it says no, and then you can see my Q1 deliverables, which we've just created, is already in the drop down section. You can, if you have loads of fixed versions already defined in the project, you can type as well. You don't have to keep scrolling up and down. So you literally can type in Q1. As soon as you start typing, it narrows down the option for you so you can then choose from what you have on the list. So I'm going to click on my Q1 deliverables, and then I'll click on, and then that's it. So now it's been added to that ticket. So what you would then need to do is, for your team members, as they're creating their epics, their stories, their bugs, or whatever is meant to be delivered for Q1, they would then need to remember to make sure that this fixed version for Q1 deliverables has to be added to every single ticket for that to pull through into, that fixed version. So if I then navigate back to the fixed version, the point where we started, so I will go back into the project. For some Jira instance, you don't need to go back into the project because you can literally see it at the side of your screen. But for mine, I would have to go back to the start of the project again, and then that's where I can see that enabled. So I will go into the release. Okay, so you can see now that in this one now you can see that I've got a bar which we didn't have previously. That tells me this fixed version has now been enabled for people to start using. We already have one item in them and stuffs like that. Yeah. So once this release is now completed, once you've done this, you've assigned the tickets in there, you can then pull the information in this release. You might have as many as 10, 15, depending on how what deliverables you have for that quarter. You can then pull that into your JQL query and then use it for different types of reporting. There is a very strong dashboard as well that is quite used at a really senior level. I think it's called Project Roadmap. That project roadmap gadget works based on the fixed versions that you have defined. At the point in my subsequent videos where we'll be talking about dashboard, we probably will go over that as well. So for the purpose of this training, that's how you get your fixed version created, and that's how you link, any of your tickets within your project to a fixed version. Most of the time I get asked questions like, okay, what if I have a separate project to the one that I've already created my fixed version for? Will I be able to use the same fixed version? The answer is no. So once you're creating a project, once you're creating a release in your project, it can only be used in that project. You cannot do cross project releases. The only plugin that you can get that can then enable that functionality to do cross release projects. That means you're using the same release across multiple projects, would be if you have the advanced roadmap. So which is another topic entirely, and we will go into that at a later time. So for the purpose of this training, that's how you get it created. So thank you for staying tuned, and if you do have any question, please leave me a comment in the comment section, and remember, subscribe, like, and share the videos with the rest of your friends. Thank you, and I'll see you in